Hey, this is Jim at Videoguys.com. Thank you for joining us again this week for another live webinar brought to you every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Today, we're going to show off our brand new Videoguys studio, which is located right here in the middle of our warehouse, or actually, to be specific, in the corner of our warehouse. So if you take a look around you here, you can see this is where we ship all of your orders from, and we have inventory of thousands of products. Now let's take a walk into the studio and check it out. We are going to go on air. And this is it. This is where the magic happens as I'm tripping over cables here. And this is the new Videoguys studio. So we had several challenges and considerations to make in doing this studio. I'm trying to figure out which camera to look at. Several challenges and considerations in building this studio. Before we go into those, let me tell you exactly what we were starting with. Because when we moved into this building, this room that you see right here in the warehouse did exist. Not to the level that it is today, and it did require some construction in order to build out what we have now. This wall right behind me was a full cinder block wall with a tiled glass window right in the back here. We knew we wanted to close up that window in order to control the light within our studio, but we also wanted to cover up the cinder block in order to control the audio. Wall number 2 over to the side here is still a cinder block wall. Wall number 3 behind me that we just walked into is sheetrock construction between here and the warehouse with a fire-rated safety door. That door is not a soundproof door by any way, shape, or form, but it is a heavy-duty metal door. Again, fire-rated, but we knew we had to address the audio issues and the sound dampening with that. And then wall number 4 was our biggest concern, which is a sheetrock wall directly out to the warehouse. As you know, a 4-inch sheetrock wall, probably with steel studs on the inside, is not your best as far as separating audio from the inside versus outside. And now, even worse than that, was the ceiling. Above me here was just a drop ceiling, absolutely nothing above it. All of the sound from the loading docks outside and from the warehouse itself came in right through that ceiling. So as you can imagine, we had 3 different challenges that we had to address. First was we had to dampen the noise from the warehouse that you see outside and keep that noise out of our studio and off of my microphone. Second, we had to improve the acoustics within the room itself. Keeping the one cinder block wall, we knew that audio could bounce. We also knew that at the time this room was empty, that as we started bringing stuff in, some additional acoustical treatments may be necessary. And then finally, we wanted to utilize the space not only for the studio and the virtual set that's behind me that you can see with this green screen, but also some of the live sets that we have throughout the room. So now with the virtual set, the live set, we also have some product sets where we do our product spotlight videos from. So let's talk about the first challenge, soundproofing and separating the noise from the active warehouse outside from in here. We ship hundreds of packages a day. We have thousands of products in inventory, and we have shipments arriving with new products all of the time. We have forklifts, we have scissor lifts, and we have trucks pulling up to a loading dock that is less than 50 feet away. All of that can present noise that we needed to keep off of the microphone. When we opened up all of the construction here and took down the acoustic, the drop ceiling here, what we did was we closed up the ceiling, we covered this wall with those drop panels, recycling the drop panels from this ceiling onto this wall, covering up this wall using rock salt insulation and quiet rock sheetrock. We also added a soundproof curtain over the doorway that I just walked into before in order to block out some of the noise without the added expense of replacing that with a true soundproof door. So the rock salt safe and sound insulation is a high quality insulation that is not only fire retardant, but it also allows to prevent some of the noise from outside of the room from coming in. The ceiling above us was just a regular drop ceiling. We framed out the ceiling in a 4x6 wood frame and loaded that up with that rock salt insulation in order to prevent any of that sound from coming in. We took that same insulation and put it on the outside wall behind me as we covered that cinder block wall with the sheetrock frame that you see here. The sheetrock is an interesting story in itself. Instead of using just a basic sheetrock, we used a special material called Quiet Rock 530. There are several different levels of the Quiet Rock sheetrock material. The 530 seems to be the most industrial and the strongest of the components that they offer. The Quiet Rock 530 is about 120 pounds for just a 4x8 sheet of sheetrock, so it does require a little bit more difficult of an installation. And trust me, if you work with contractors here in New York, you pay for that difficulty. But the beauty of the Quiet Rock 530 is the STC rating to it. On this outside wall facing the warehouse, we had a 4-inch wood frame, steel frame between this room and the warehouse itself. We brought that out another 2 inches with another steel frame, used our recycled ceiling panels, and covered the Quiet Rock 530, adding an STC rating of somewhere between 52 and 55 to that wall here. With the ceiling, using the same Quiet Rock material, the rock salt insulation, and the 4x6 wood frame, we were able to get an STC rating up above us of closer to 70 in that ceiling here, preventing a lot of that noise from coming in outside. And then I told you about the challenge we had back here on the door. We used a soundproof curtain from a company called Moondream in order to cover up that door and some of the cinder block wall on the side to me here, creating both the sound dampening qualities that we wanted and the acoustical treatment inside the room, giving the sound some place to absorb into as opposed to bouncing off of the walls around me. Challenge number 2 was the in-room acoustics. So the first thing we did in order to address the in-room acoustics was install carpeting with a heavy-duty padding, the heaviest duty padding that they had available. It's still commercial carpeting, which means it'll handle the foot traffic in and out and hopefully not wear too quickly, but it has a heavy-duty padding underneath it over a concrete foundation, providing the best audio insulation and audio dampening effects that we can get from there. And I can tell you, when they installed the carpeting, it did make a significant impact immediately before we did anything else. The next thing we did was use cubicles from inside the office that are no longer being used. We covered them up with fabric, and we have those placed throughout the room to test different audio treatments and to see where we are. Eventually, we will put some nicer audio treatments on the wall itself, but for now, these fabric panels allow us to experiment throughout the room to get the audio that we like, and then to address that with a more permanent solution in the future. And then we also installed some foam acoustical treatments that we bought just right online. We have some foam acoustical treatments above me here because we have 2 different ceiling heights throughout the room. When I'm looking at you here from the elevated part of the room to the smaller part, it was no issue whatsoever. But when we used our live set and I was talking out into the side over here, it became a much bigger issue because the audio was being trapped inside of a tunnel. So those acoustic treatments helped. And then finally, we covered the cinder block wall to the left of me here with some additional curtains itself. And this is some of the acoustical foam that we used. You can see some on that beam right over to the side here next to the curtain, if we can show that on camera. Okay, and then we have some above me as well. Okay, and then finally addressing our last challenge, and that was maximizing the use of the space. Obviously, you see the wall behind me is painted green. This is where we use our virtual sets that we're going to pull up within our TriCaster or Wirecast systems. We left the corner unpainted so that we can go into a live set here. So we just switch to this camera. So now if I come in here, We can clean up this bookcase and have a nice live set here. We can mount some shelves on the wall behind me and really take use of an entirely different space just by hitting a different camera angle. And then finally, we have a wall set up to the back of me here where we will do our product spotlights, and we can put a product on a turntable that we've had, kind of spin it around, showing you that product from all angles, featuring all of the inputs, outputs, and everything else on it. Again, if we took a product like the LaCie 2-bit dot that I have in front of me here, we can easily show you the input and output connections, and that video is available for you to see, so you can get a look at the final project on our Videoguys YouTube channel. And then finally, the wall treatments around me will make other sets available as well. The product spotlight, we can alternate from doing it in front of a fabric panel, in front of a solid wall, or in front of the curtains themselves. So now let's get into the meat of it. Let's talk about the gear that we're using right here in the studio. Right now, the studio was outfitted with 4 high-speed direct connections to our network. Those 4 high-speed direct connections will allow us to get the maximum flexibility we need to create a true NDI studio. If you saw the cables I was tripping over as we walked in, our goal is to get rid of these cables entirely, to take advantage of NewTek's NDI protocol, and to make this entire setup as wireless as possible. With a direct connection to the network, we know that that goal is very realistic. We're using a TriCaster TC1, which is their latest NDI 4K production system that we're going to be hooking all this equipment up into. We have an equipment mat that we're going to be setting up with the NewTek TriCaster TC1 and the Wirecast gear. We can do an Epiphan Pearl. We can put a Wowzer Clearcaster and any other production device that we get coming in through the doors. The beauty of being here at Videoguys.com is we have access to all this equipment at our fingertips. And our pledge to you is that we do try our best to actually drink the Kool-Aid and use the products ourselves. This is why our technicians and our salespeople can help answer your questions if you're trying to decide which one is best for your needs and for your budget. Right now, we're working off of 3 cameras. We have a Sony 4K SDI and HDMI camera set up right in front of me here. The camera that we were switching to earlier is an NDI HX PTZ1 camera from NewTek. That camera itself is an NDI camera connected directly into any NDI production system, whether it's the TC1 or the Wirecast gear or vMix or anything else that you're using that supports NDI. And then we also have a PTZ Optics camera. Right now we're using their SDI model, just waiting for the NDI firmware upgrade to be released for that camera to give the NDI capabilities as well. And by the way, if we go back to that Sony camera that I was talking about originally, the plan is to upgrade that camera to NDI using either a Bird Dog Studio NDI converter or the NewTek Connect Spark SDI to NDI converter. So we'll be upgrading that camera to the NDI functionality as well. And then from an audio point of view, we do have a boom mic that we have available to us in the studio. I'm using an XLR lapel microphone, and that's plugged into a 4-channel audio mixer that goes directly into our production system. The lights around me are ICANN LED lighting. We have one right over the top of me here that's washing that green background. We also mounted some LED hi-hats to provide additional light for that backdrop behind me. But now we also have 3 ICANN stand lights around me here as well. Once we kind of pinpoint where each of our sets will be in the location, our goal is to take all of these lights off the floor as well and to just reverse the stand lights that we have in the room now to lights that come down from the ceiling in more of a fixed location once we know we're not going to be moving them around. My plan was to not fix too much in the studio for at least the first few months until we have a real understanding of how we're using things and where we want them to live on a more permanent basis. So again, the TriCaster TC1 is one of the Videoguys top 12 products of 2017. This is the production system that we will be relying on in the Videoguys studio. the TC1 with the small control panel, and an NC1 Studio I/O module for additional SDI inputs when the additional cameras are needed. The Wirecast Gear 220 is, we actually are using the 210 SDI unit now, waiting for the Gear 230 unit to be more readily available. We are shipping them from stock, but we don't have an eval unit just yet. The Gear 230 will be our Wirecast system when we want to show off the Wirecast capabilities, plugging our SDI cameras or HDMI cameras directly into that device. Again, another Videoguys Top 12 product of the year. Can you see something going on here? The cameras that we talked about also are Videoguys Top products. Again, we want to use the products that we recommend to you. We chose these products to use in our studio because we believe that the NewTek NDI HX PTZ1 camera and the PTZ Optics camera with the NDI firmware upgradability are some of the best PTZ cameras on the market today as far as features compared to value, compared to cost. These will fit into your budgets at pretty much any production level. And then I also spoke about the Bird Dog Studio NDI converter and the NewTek NDI HX Connect Sparks converters. You guessed it, other Videoguys Top products of 2017. So if you have any questions about our studio here, or about how you can set up your own studio, or what other considerations or materials we used, give us a call at 800-323-2325. I'm Jim at extension 1110, but Courtney, Ed, and Britt are all available to help you as well. A lot of the decisions that went into this room were committee decisions that we discussed in detail. So we all have some of that background knowledge and understanding to help you identify your goals, needs, and budget to find the best products that fit in. And like we're building out our studio here over the next weeks, months, and even years, we can help provide you the path to do the same so you don't have to invest a ton of money up front, but kind of grow to ultimately where you have the studio that you want to be your final accomplishment. Join us every week, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for the Videoguys Newsday Tuesday webinar. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, or follow us on Twitter and Periscope for more great videos like this and to see more of the stuff that we're producing out of our studio here. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next week.
Videoguys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.